All right, guys, today we're going to do a map overview of San Antonio, Texas. And keep watching because we're going to show you some of the top places to know about when you live, work, play, and visit here in San Antonio.
Hi, this is Living Local San Antonio with Alyse and Jay.
And I'm Alyse, and that's Jay. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Our information's in the description.
Please feel free to call, text, or email us. We know getting around the city can be a little bit confusing, and we've got lots of experience living here. All right, so first thing to know that San Antonio has two loops. We've got an inner loop and an outer loop. The outer loop is 1604, and it goes all the way around the city, and that's kind of the footprint. There's some suburbs outside of that are still incorporated with San Antonio. And then we've got the inner loop, which is 410. And that goes around the city and kind of the original downtown area. And that inner loop, when people talk about living inside the loop, that's what they're talking about usually. In fact, there's even a song from old Los Number 3 Dinners that sings about living inside the loop. And between 410 and 1604, it's typically about 5 miles between those two loops as you go around the city. So just to give you an idea of scale, 410 is about 50 miles around, and 1604 is about 100 miles around if you were to do a loop on that. And actually, we've had the pleasure of driving the loop on both of those just for fun with some friends of ours. All right, so now that you kind of know about the inner loop and outer loop of San Antonio, it makes it pretty easy to go from there because then we can lay it out like a clock. So starting at high noon, right in the middle is Highway 281, and you can take that all the way up to just south of Dallas, I believe. And then taking it south, it'll go all the way to the border with the US and Mexico. So then if you tick over to about the 1 o'clock area, now we're going to have I-35, which actually run all the way up like New Braunfels, Austin, Dallas, Kansas City, and basically it terminates up in Minnesota, right near the Canadian border. So I-35 runs all the way through from Texas through the Midwest. Then you tick around again, we've got I-10. So I-10, in our case in San Antonio, it comes in from Houston, but it runs east to west. It's a interstate highway, so it starts in Florida and it runs all the way through. Then it goes through Houston, comes into San Antonio, and then you can see right through downtown. Kind of takes a little bit of a curve and it heads in a northwestern direction, but it basically ends up in LA over in California. So it comes in from the east and heads up northwest going through San Antonio. And then tick over again, we've got Highway 87. Now 87 starts over at the coast like Victoria, Port Lavaca area, and it'll come all the way through into San Antonio. And then that one kind of joins I-10 and heads up in a northwesterly direction. And then from there, we've got 37 and 281 like we talked about. Now this is on the south side of town. So they're at like the 6 o'clock position, and 37 and 281 kind of share space for a while there. And then they rejoin south to San Antonio. 37 heads into Corpus, and 281 goes all the way down to the border in like Harlingen, McAllen, that area. And then you keep ticking around, and we've got 35 again. So like I said, it comes from the north, kind of X's through downtown, and then goes back southwest. So that comes out of Laredo into San Antonio over there. And then we've got Highway 90, which again runs east-west. So when 87 and I-10 kind of tick up northwest, Highway 90 keeps going out directly west. And so that heads out to places like Castroville and Hondo, and then eventually ends up in Del Rio, Texas. And then the next one we've got is Bandera Road, or Highway 16, that you can see up there. And Highway 16, that's at that 10 o'clock position. It comes all the way out, continues northwest, and that takes you into all the nice hill country, Bandera, Medina Lake, all those types of areas go off of that. And then again, we come around again to the 11 o'clock position, and that's I-10 leaving town, coming out of downtown. And that one will take you like surrounding cities are like Bernie and some of those areas, Fredericksburg, the wine country of Texas. And then I-10 again, like I said, heads all the way up to California, or all the way out to California in the LA area. And then that brings us right back around to 281. So you can see that full circle and that full layout of how San Antonio's built and the thoroughfares that come through there. And that's also really helpful to know because I think that's one of the reasons why we don't have a whole lot of traffic with San Antonio. Like, we're still a big city, but with a small town feel. And some of that feel is that we don't have a ton of traffic. And that's because of all these highway systems we've got.
All right, so let's talk about some of our municipalities, kind of our cities within our city. We have places like Alamo Heights, which is closer towards downtown area. Leon Springs is northwest-ish And Windcrest is northeast. Castle Hills is central. We have Chavano Park, which is the north side, like 1604 and 281 area. Helotes, which is a big area outside of 1604 on the northwest side. And a lot of these municipalities, we share our electric and water. Some of us have our own police departments. So we usually tell people who live here, yeah, we live in Castle Hills, but people outside of San Antonio, we live in San Antonio.
Like we mentioned earlier, some of the top places that you need to know about when you live in San Antonio, Texas. So right off the bat, I'm going to start talking about schools, right? So we've got a lot of universities in town. We've got UTSA, which is on the west side of town, kind of the I-10 1604 area. Then we've got Incarnate Word and Trinity, which are both downtown, very near Alamo Heights and the Pearl area that we'll talk about in a minute. Our Lady of the Lake universities on the west side and St. Mary's on the west side, pretty close to each other. And then A&M San Antonio on the southwest side near I-35 headed towards Laredo on that side of town. Then we've also got what we're famous for is the Alamo. So of course, the Alamo is right downtown. That's the heart of the city, right next to the Riverwalk, which is right next to Market Square, which are all kind of three downtown hotspots that are all within walking distance together. And then if you want to go a little bit further out, you can see the rest of the missions that San Antonio is known for. And in fact, they're all a World Heritage Site. So it's really worth checking out and seeing. But those are all on the San Antonio River headed south from downtown. So the Alamo would be the northernmost of those missions. And then, of course, we've got the San Antonio International Airport, and that's dead center at the 12 o'clock in the Loop 410, if you're looking at it that way. And like Alyse might have mentioned, that's really close to us. We're only about 5 minutes from the airport, and we really like that versus being in a city like Denver is the one that comes to mind because the airport's about 45 minutes away from the city. With us, the airport is pretty accessible and pretty easy to get to.
And a few more spots to be aware of. So we have USAA, which is a huge employer here in San Antonio, pretty much smack dab in the middle by Medical Center, by UTSA. So it's a very popular place. The Frost Bank Center, which used to be the AT&T Center, where the Spurs play and where the rodeo takes place. It's always fun to do that. Lackland Air Force Base, which is where all of the basic training takes place for the Air Force. So we get to see our Air Force graduates on the weekends running around downtown. And near downtown is the Pearl, right north of downtown. It's the north part of the Riverwalk, lots of restaurants, bars. There's a farmer's market on the weekends. It's awesome. And the Hotel Emma, which is the only 5-diamond hotel in Texas. It's absolutely gorgeous. So if you can make it down there, make sure that you walk through that or stay there if you can. We have amusement parks, SeaWorld and Fiesta Texas. And we also have Morgan's Wonderland. And Morgan's Wonderland is a family fun park for everyone, but it is the only ultra accessible theme park. So it makes it pretty cool for folks that have disabilities and wheelchairs, and they make that accessible for them. So that's awesome. We also have the Toyota plant on the south side. So if you drive a Tundra, I believe you may be driving one from San Antonio. So if you like to discuss any of this, if you need directions around town or just want to chat about real estate, feel free to give us a call. Again, our information's in the description.
Yeah, please call, text us, or email us. We'd love to help you out. Thanks for watching. And as we like to say,
Keep Boston weird.
keep San Antonio cool.